If you're looking to buy a Tesla or similar EV, it's both exciting and a bit daunting. These cars are getting way more popular, but particularly buying a Tesla, you'll find that there's a lot that's different from how cars have been for a while. Not only are there things to adjust to, like charging instead of filling up with gas, but the entire buying process is unlike most companies. You order online and never go to an actual dealer. Tesla has an inventory site, but this is usually empty as their demand vastly outnumbers their current production capacity. For other companies, this kind of is the same story as well, but usually on another level. Today I'm going to break down the common mistakes to avoid when buying a Tesla or other EV and what has changed in 2023, so let's get into it. First up is something that is brand new for 2023, the federal tax credit. Recently, with the passing of the Inflation Reduction Act, an updated $7,500 tax credit was reinstated for EVs from all manufacturers. Previously, once a manufacturer sold 200,000 EVs, this incentive would disappear for cars from them. And this favored those companies who had been dragging their feet on EVs. Once they get around to it, customers can buy their cars for $7,500 less than a Tesla or EV from GM. Now, this cap has been removed. That means that in 2023, Teslas and GM EVs will again qualify for $7,500 off. At this point, we're entering Q4, and Tesla's lead times have gotten a bit shorter, but still remain fairly long depending on what you order. A standard range or performance Model 3 says it will be delivered this year, but for the long range Model 3, they aren't actually taking any more orders until 2023. For the Model Y, Tesla says a long range model could come anywhere from December to April. Performance comes much quicker in this month or next. Now, these are the only Teslas that will qualify for this credit, and most likely this is what you're looking at buying. However, the credit is pretty specific. There are a number of battery requirements, MSRP caps depending on which vehicle types, and more, so the best assumptions people have are that only the Model Y will qualify for this. The good news is that the tax credit, which used to be taken off of your tax liability, appears to be changing to come off the sale price of the car. If nothing changes with Tesla's pricing, and it works exactly like that, that would mean that the long-range Model Y at $65,990 would instantly become $58,490 if purchased and delivered in 2023. We of course haven't seen this in practice yet and don't know exactly how this will work, but we're in a super weird limbo period right now. People like myself ordered a Model Y earlier this year and have a lower price locked in, so it doesn't make sense to cancel and reorder, but buying now is pretty confusing. Honestly, if you're buying a Model Y and really want to ensure you are saving money, it might be a smart idea to wait and see how this tax credit develops. However, Tesla has raised their prices significantly this year, so anything could happen. I can't guarantee anything, and no one can until the new revised tax credit is in place, but it could be a mistake to order a Tesla or EV right now. It might be smart to wait to guarantee $7,500 off at the point of sale in a couple of months. Again, this isn't advice though, as many things could change, but there's a lot to pay attention to here. In the same vein though is mistake number 2, not looking into all of the EV savings you can get. The federal credit is extremely complicated and unclear as of right now, but many states have their own incentives already in place. California has a website called driveclean.ca.gov, and you can type in your zip code and vehicle to find exactly what incentives you would qualify for. When I originally purchased my 2020 Model Y, I received $2,000 from the state of California and $1,000 from SoCal Edison for buying an EV. $3,000 in checks after buying an expensive EV is incredibly nice to have, so be sure to look into this. Oftentimes people don't actually know that these programs exist and are leaving money on the table. Plug-in America has a good breakdown of EV incentives by state, and I'll link that below. They show everything you can get for installing a home charger, buying an EV, and other advantages you can get like HOV lane privileges. Mistake number 3 is one that sometimes is controversial amongst Tesla fans, and that's buying full self-driving. I did this on my 2020 Model Y when it was half the price it was today, and I still regret it. If I price out a Model Y today, I'm looking at $65,990. Let's say I want black paint, that's another $1,500. I want the cool black 20-inch wheels, that's $2,000. And I want the tow hitch, that's another $1,000. Right there, I'm already looking at $70,490, and there are more options I could add, like 7 seats or the white interior. However, if you scroll down further, you can see that Tesla has the option for enhanced autopilot or full self-driving capability. Enhanced autopilot is $6,000, while FSD is a whopping $15,000. That takes my $70,000 car up to $85,000. Using Tesla's default payment calculator, that takes a monthly payment of $1,068 up to $1,307. So you're paying $239 extra each month in this calculation for full self self-driving. Currently, full self-driving gets you all the features of enhanced autopilot, plus the opportunity to be added to the FSD beta. Currently, this beta requires a lot of attention and is very much a beta. Also, you have to earn your spot as part of this beta with a good safety score, at least until Tesla opens it up to wide beta. Elon Musk says that this will happen this year, but as we have learned, he's very late with everything regarding full self-driving. For me, I don't even think the features that enhanced autopilot delivers, let alone FSD, are worth it. But on the other side of things, if you change your mind, it's simply a software upgrade. Within the Tesla app, you can add FSD for $15,000. It will arrive on your car within minutes, and there's no hardware upgrade necessary if you have a new Tesla. For the last couple years, every car that Tesla ships comes with the FSD computer by default. Then, if you want to subscribe to FSD, Tesla allows this for $199 per month. As you can see, that's about $40 less than financing the $15,000 FSD cost. Of course, owning things is usually better than perpetually subscribing, but quick math shows that at $15,000, it will take over 75 months before you're paid off versus subscribing. That's over 6 years, so it's quite a long-term investment for beta software. Now, the reason Tesla charges so much and keeps raising the price is because they see FSD developing into something that truly drives you anywhere without you needing to pay attention. It could also be a robo-taxi for you, earning money, so it's a smart investment there. However, the timeline has taken so long and been so delayed that many think that paying $15,000 will end up with you having beta software and selling your car before anything worthwhile truly arrives. FSD stays with the car and you lose it when you sell the car. That's why, if you find these features worth your time and money, I recommend the subscription, although Tesla could of course raise that price as well. Also, there is enhanced autopilot, which includes auto lane change, the only feature I find worthwhile. Still, to me though, it's too expensive at $6,000. Basic autopilot is included with every Tesla by default, and that includes adaptive cruise control and auto steer, which works incredibly well. Next up is number 4, and that's buying an EV or Tesla with too much range. Many people assume that you need an electric car with the absolute most range possible. 400 miles plus is the only way, because you need to be covered on that road trip you take once a year. Well, in reality, assuming you can charge at home, you'll find yourself likely paying more than you actually need to for range that you won't actually utilize. More range is achieved with more batteries, and that's part of why cars like the Model S, starting over $100,000, gets 400 miles of range. The Model Y is quoted at 330 miles. I used to think it was long range or the highway, but I've actually been driving a standard range Model 3 for some time now. I've done road trips to Las Vegas from Los Angeles in this car, supercharging along the way, and it was a breeze. For daily driving, I have literally never run out, and charging at home has been super easy. It happens when I sleep, and I wake up the next morning with well over 200 miles at my disposal. I think the standard range Model 3 is actually very underrated for this reason, and many will find that it will fulfill their needs just fine. I also hope that Tesla reintroduces the standard range Model Y soon, because it can be a great option for many people who don't consistently need access to 330 miles quickly. The Lucid Air is a great example of an EV with immense range at 520 miles, but it comes at significant cost. For most people, this is far more range than they need to buy. Tesla superchargers are very convenient for Teslas, and for other EVs, there are third-party fast charging networks that are growing, making sure you have options on a road trip when you travel more than one battery's worth of range. On the other side of things, though, is number 5, and that's buying too little range. EPA estimates are just not accurate. Nearly every single EV, and especially Teslas, do not get their EPA estimated ranges in the real world. Most Teslas got around 12% less range when Inside EVs did their 70 mile per hour highway testing. Other cars too, like the Ford Mustang Mach-E California Route 1 Edition, got 6% less range, while their extended range all-wheel drive got 5.5% more range. The Lucid Air, the longest range EV ever at 520 miles, got 4% less range in testing. As you can see, Teslas seem to be designed for EPA testing numbers, but get quite a bit less range in the real world. This is really important to keep in mind when buying an EV. Most EVs underperform estimates to some degree, so a standard range Model 3 with stock wheels, quoted at 272 miles EPA, might only truly get you 239 miles of range in the real world. If you're planning to get an EV and need to drive 125 miles out and 125 miles back multiple times a week, you'll find the standard range Model 3 won't actually cut it, since its EPA range prediction is generous. You'll end up supercharging more than you want and will wish you had upgraded to a long-range model. For the Model 3 specifically, Tesla says that will be available again in 2023. As I mentioned prior to this, if you have good charging options, you may find that you can get by fine with an EV that has less range, and that brings us to number 6. Don't make the mistake of planning for charging after your car is delivered. Buying an EV is an adjustment. It's a very worthwhile adjustment and an easy one, but if you try to buy a Tesla without any sort of charging plan, you'll find yourself frustrating. Home charging is by far the best option for an EV if you have it available to you. For this, I recommend a few different options. The best option is the wall connector that Tesla sells for $400. This can charge up to 48 amps, get around 44 miles of range per hour, so even if you use up your full battery, you can charge it up overnight. Getting this installed is an extra expense here to keep in mind, and depending on how your panel is and how far your line needs to run, could run you anywhere from $500 to $1,500 in my experience. There are more affordable options though. Tesla sells their mobile connector for $200, and this includes a normal NEMA 515 plug along with a 1450 adapter. A 515 plug will charge very slow, over 24 hours to get your car fully charged, but this can get the job done, especially initially when you order your car. However, if you're driving any distances, you'll want to get at least a NEMA 1450 installed to get enough charge each night. I charged my car off of this for a couple years and it worked great and cost me about $250 to get installed entirely. We moved into a condo briefly and I used a split volt, which took my 30 amp dryer plug and split that to automatically switch between the dryer and charging my car. All of these options have worked great, and depending on where you live, one may work better than the other. It's something to assess and think about prior to delivery and will make the transition to an EV incredibly smooth instead of stressful. I save time charging at home versus going to a gas station each week or more. Now, if you can't charge at home, that's definitely another area to look into. Is there a charger available at your work or near your work? PlugShare will show you where chargers are located everywhere and what type they are exactly. Oftentimes, these can be provided by the city as well and be entirely free, which would save you even more money compared to gas. For a Tesla, in addition to these stations that you can use with the J1772 adapter included with each car, there are thousands of superchargers. They have a website where you can search for superchargers in your specific area so you can see ahead of time if there are fast chargers near you. Having a charging plan is very important, and sometimes I feel that the most frustrated new EV buyers who give up on it are ones who didn't plan for this and found themselves panicked for where to charge their new car. Now, further talking about a charging plan, another mistake to make would be not researching your power provider for EV plans. I live in Los Angeles County, so my power provider is SoCal Edison. Many people use tiered plans and will find that since they're now charging a car each night, they will quickly bump into a higher usage tier. For me, if I didn't plan to do anything with my power plan, I would potentially be paying over 45 cents per kilowatt hour to charge my EV at home. This is higher than Electrify America charges for level 3 DC fast charging. You'll end up with a ridiculously high energy bill because now you're paying more for all power that you use. That's why most companies offer time of use plans that incentivize you to charge and use the majority of your power off-peak. SCE has a rate specific for EV owners called Time of Use D Prime, and this ensures that my rate is 21 cents off-peak during the week. So I always charge my car during these times and never pay more. In the winter, it goes down to 20 cents. Lucky for you as well, you might not live in California, so your rates will probably be significantly cheaper than this. Be sure to get your rate plan set up right away when buying an EV and charging it at home so you don't end up with a ridiculous energy bill that you didn't need to have. For number 7, I'm going to summarize a few quick personal preferences I've found after buying a few Teslas over the years. This is specific to Tesla, but I recommend that you don't buy the upgraded wheels. The Model Y in particular rides fairly stiff, and I noticed a huge improvement by changing from the upgraded 20-inch wheels, which cost $2,000 extra, back to the stock wheels. The ride quality is better. If that isn't important to you and looks are the primary concern, then of course do what you like, but I like making sure people are aware of this. Additionally, oftentimes Tesla will have a shorter lead time if you buy the performance model. For the Model Y, that means you can get it a couple months early based on Tesla's current predictions, but I recommend not upgrading unless this is actually the product you want. The performance is more expensive, has even larger 21-inch wheels that ride stiffer and are more subject to potholes, and the range is 27 miles less than the long-range Model Y. Also, the suspension is lowered, making this already relatively low SUV feel even lower when going over bumps, steep driveways, or going off-road. If that's definitely definitely what you want, then definitely do it, but if you're only upgrading to get the car faster, keep these things in mind and don't make a mistake. Lastly, if you really want the white interior but are worried about cleaning it, don't worry. Many reviews have shown that the white interior holds up well and is actually fairly easy to clean. It can take a little more care than the black interior, but it isn't a nightmare that many worry about. So don't avoid it and regret it later. It should hold up well. My Model Y that's coming next week has white seats, so I'm excited to try it in practice myself and report back on this channel. The 8th mistake to avoid when buying a Tesla or EV is not inspecting the car at delivery. This is fairly particular to Teslas, but I've seen it on other cars as well, and unfortunately still exists. Tesla is so popular that fixing their quality control hasn't gone as quickly as many had hoped. I've had issues that required service after buying each of my Teslas, and this is why it's important to do a detailed inspection upon delivery. You can note any issues with the car, ensure that they have them on record, and then get them fixed for free at service. Most times in my experience, they are good about fixing stuff anyway, but they do have some sort of 100-mile policy for big issues. So check over the car in depth at delivery and be sure to note any issues right away after buying. The 9th mistake when buying a Tesla is not shopping around for insurance. Interestingly enough, Tesla's own insurance has been expanding rapidly this year, and from what I've seen, it is bringing big savings for almost everyone signing up. Many companies charge a lot when insuring a Tesla in particular, so be sure to compare rates with what you currently have, what else is out there, and what Tesla insurance is offering if it's available to you. Lastly, the 10th mistake to avoid is not planning ahead for accessories. Tesla makes great cars with many features, but there are many areas of the car that can be optimized to make your experience that much better. I'll link my favorite accessories in the description and comments below, and then in the meantime, you can check out my favorite Tesla accessories in the video linked up here or in the description below. I hope this video was helpful for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.